Hey everyone, Erica Becker here. We're with the GC 360 podcast where we talk about a lot of different topics. And I'm excited about my guest today. I have the very own Leigh Dowden. She is a teacher and she actually received our Essential Worker Award for the Virtual Village Show. And so congratulations for that.
Thank you so much.
Super exciting. So Leigh, it's the new year, so I kind of want to talk about that. Do you do any kind of New Year resolution things with the kids at school? You teach fifth grade, right?
I do. We teach fifth grade. I have a co-teacher.
Cool.
And what we did with the kids this year was exactly that. We had them come up with 5 goals. They didn't necessarily have to be academic, but 5 goals that they want to reach for the new year, and they made them into posters. And we just hung them up yesterday, and they look great.
Nice.
And then today they had to do a little writing on which one of the ones that you picked is the hardest to fulfill.
Wow.
So I haven't read their responses yet. I'll read them later when I get back to school, but that was a fun project.
Cool. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the ones that stand out? I think kids are so funny.
Kids are always thinking about what we want them to say. So a lot of them will be like, I need to read more at home, or I need to practice my math facts. I need to work on my handwriting. A lot of them were academic, but a lot of them chose things for home too. A lot of kids said, I want to help my mom more, keep my room clean, things like that. Things that were doable.
You know what? A lot of my goals are not that different from a lot of those. Like, keep everything clean, read more, write more. That's all on my list too.
Absolutely.
Practice the piano.
Yes, right.
That's all on my list too. So that's awesome. And how long have you been teaching fifth grade?
I have been in fifth grade. I've been for a very long time. I've been teaching for over 35 years, so 37.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I started when I was very young. And I've been in the same building all that time.
Really?
Not necessarily in the same classroom or in the same grade.
Yeah.
But in the same building.
Oh my gosh.
It's fabulous. So I've seen a lot of people come and go in the time I've been there. In fact, I just ran into a student. Well, he's a grown man now, but a student who was in my first class. Because his son is in the classroom next to me.
No,
so
that is super
out,
cool.
Yeah, we were out, and I said, "Come say hi," and it was great catching up with him.
Yeah,
amazing how we look the same age now.
Oh my god! No, I think that's so cool. I mean, I don't have obviously near as much teaching experience as you, but I have taught theater to younger kids after I graduated, and even I just can't imagine the feeling of seeing someone fully grow to that from being in your first class. Because even when I've seen, like I directed a musical at the elementary school I actually used to go to before I moved to New York, and so I was only like 22 when I did that. But even now when I see those kids from
where they
6th grade, I'm like, I feel like they're mine. And it's like you see them do things and it's just,
and they had a little hand in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of, I mean, especially teachers have a huge hand in how kids turn out, people turn out.
Well, that's one of the great things about, I happen to live in town, in Garden City, and grew up here too, moved for a while, and then was back. But one of the best things about living in town is that I do run into so many people, whether it's parents I had in the past or the actual kids, and I love catching up with them and seeing what they're up to. And so many kids come through our school who now have children that are students there. Yeah. So I see them as parents coming back to the concerts or whatever, and it's a nice cycle.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to take a short break here, but we're going to definitely get back into talking about this whenever we get back after these messages.
My father never stops moving, but after he had a brain aneurysm, he had a difficult time getting back to his normal routine. That's when I called Alliance Services. They paired him with Rosa. She developed a custom home care plan that helped him with his recovery.
Rosa helped me gain my independence back.
Alliance Services, helping older adults continue to live well and independent.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the GC 360 podcast. Back here with Leigh Dowden, our 5th grade teacher, and at Stratford, right? Yeah, Stratford. And we were just talking about kind of like the reward of teaching that you get. And this is again why you received that award from the Virtual Village Show, because you've been doing it so long and you play a hand in so many, put a hand in so many lives, you know, and helped them grow into the people that they are. So thank you for that again.
You're welcome. And that really is the best part of teaching. It really is making those connections with people and keeping them for years to come. It's the greatest reward. That's why teachers will always say, I have the greatest job in the world, because you do. You impact people almost like no other. There are only a few jobs out there that do that, and we know how fortunate we are every day to have that kind of impact.
Yeah, definitely. And so when you teach 5th grade, do you teach all the subjects?
We do. Cool. Yes, we teach all the subjects.
I don't know how sometimes you have different teachers do different things.
We are self-contained until the kids go to the middle school. When they go to the middle school in 6th grade, they start to break up into different teachers. They call them clusters, and they go to an ELA teacher and a math teacher and a science teacher. But up until 6th grade, that doesn't happen. They stay in the same classroom. Okay. Over the years, we've tried different things. We used to have it where I would teach social studies to another class, and that teacher would teach my kids science, and we'd flip back and forth, and we loved it. And hopefully it'll get back to that again, because I think that stepping stone is really important for kids to get to know that other teacher. Yeah. But they are with us the whole day. We break for lunch, of course. We break for the kids to go to special. They have a Spanish teacher who comes in. Okay. So they see a lot of different faces during the day, but for the most part, it's ours.
Yeah. So I can kind of, and obviously when I was in elementary school, that was a while ago, but I can remember whenever we did kind of a transition like that too, where just a couple of subjects were maybe like art teacher, music teacher. Yes. And that is I think that's a good way to transition into, I think when you're in high school and college, you know, you're all over the place. Yes, exactly. So it's good. And you said you guys have a Spanish teacher.
We do.
That's great. I was just talking about this the other day, actually, because one of my goals is I want to learn Spanish. Yeah. And
that's your New Year's resolution?
Yeah. And so I thought, I wish that they did not have language until high school for me. And I think that you should introduce it younger, because it's so much easier to soak it in.
Yes, they do it. It's only Spanish. That's your only choice in elementary, but they start it in 4th grade and 5th grade, and they have it twice a week.
That's so smart.
Our Spanish teacher is amazing.
Yeah.
And the kids love him. And then when they get to 6th grade, they get to choose what language they want out of a few different ones.
So
but a lot of kids choose Spanish. German. German's very popular too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually, the 6th grade teachers have the kids come and visit the middle school to hear the different languages that they offer. They do a little show. Oh. Like you can do this language, and the kids then choose.
That's super fun.
What they want to do. Yeah.
So out of all of the subjects that you teach, what is your favorite? If you could pick.
I guess I would have to say social studies has always been my favorite subject. Although I do love teaching math, and I love teaching reading too. Reading is just, the basis of everything. Yeah. So even your science lessons are about reading. But social studies was always my love. Like, I was a big history fan growing up, and although the curriculum has changed, American history is no longer in 5th grade, it's in a 4th grade class, but that was always something I loved to teach, and we had so much fun with that. So, but they all are, I even love teaching grammar, as boring as that might sound. That's fun too. You know
what? Must have been a weird kid. I liked grammar class.
You did. Yeah.
I was more the literature side.
Yes.
It was my strength.
Reading, writing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I struggled with math a lot, but I actually liked grammar. And a lot of kids struggle with grammar. Right. Actually.
Right.
And at least when I was in school, that was always the hardest subject for people, but I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's an interesting thing to teach, because you're teaching skills that are, structured to that lesson, but you want that skill to turn over to their writing. Yeah. And you don't always see it. But let's just say you're teaching, how to use capital letters for proper nouns. Sure. And they're like, got it, and they do well on everything. Yeah. And then the next piece of writing they hand in, there's California with a lowercase c. And you're like, wait a second. We just did a whole unit on this. Yeah, so you want them to transfer it over,
Yeah, totally.
And some kids just aren't, it doesn't come naturally, so you have to keep reminding them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I like it too.
Whenever you guys do, this question again comes from me remembering how the way I learned things as a kid. Do you guys do any with, let's say, reading or with social studies? Do you use any kind of different methods to, Like I know,
Like from when you were young?
yeah, like I remember in our literature class, we also had a speech portion, and we would perform like spoken word things, which I always loved. That was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Some kids hated it because
Right.
they didn't want to get up in front of anyone.
Right.
But I think that performance and like
Right.
theater and art can help a lot of people
Yes.
retain things.
Yes, definitely. And all throughout my whole career, we've always had a lot of opportunities for the kids to speak. And I think when you do it in a self-contained, elementary school classroom from second grade all the way up to fifth, they become so used to it that by the time they get to the older grades where they start to feel a little more self-conscious about everything, they're more comfortable. Like we have something where every Friday the kids read an essay they wrote. And they get up and they sit in a chair kind of like this one, a big chair, and the lights are on them.
Their moment.
Their moment, and they feel more comfortable as the weeks go on.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to this part of the year, they're naturals at it. And then a couple of things come up too, like my class, my 25, we do a little play at the end of the year.
I love it.
Just for the parents.
Yeah.
And then of course the whole fifth grade does another play where it's a musical, and this year we're doing Aladdin, and they get to perform there too. So there's so many opportunities to get on stage, band,
Yes.
orchestra. There's so many different things they
So
can do.
I want to ask you about Aladdin because are you doing Aladdin Junior?
Yes, it's Junior.
The musical. So that's really funny because that's actually my first directing job when I was 22.
Oh,
That was what we
really?
did. Yeah.
Really?
And I picked it, and my grade school didn't have, when I was there, did not have a lot of opportunity in
Okay.
theater or performance. It was
Right.
very sports oriented. So I a lot of times didn't feel a lot of ways that I could express myself because I was more artsy.
Right.
So that was kind of one thing that was important to me was before I go to New York, I want the school, because my younger siblings were going through there too. And
What state did you
it's
grow
in
up in?
Indiana,
Okay.
actually, yeah. It's a small like Catholic grade school, but I went there and I said, hey, listen, I'll direct a show here. And I picked Aladdin. And that's what we did. And it was a huge hit. And now they do a show every year. It's
Because
like a
of that
regular.
since then.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Exactly.
There's your impact.
Yeah, it was my, yeah.
Yeah.
So that always feels really good
Yeah.
to do. And so I'm glad that you guys do shows. That's
Yes,
super
and
great.
it's really, really important, I think, in this town too, because you mentioned sports earlier, and sports is such a big part of this town, and there are so many amazing teams, whether it's soccer or football. The feeding programs we have are just amazing.
Yeah.
But having that opportunity for the kids who are like you, where they want to be on stage, there are some opportunities. And this is a big one because every fifth grader is invited to do it. And across town, Stewart School is doing the same thing.
Great.
I think theirs is Wizard of Oz this year.
That's a great one
Yes.
too. I've also directed that.
Have you?
Yeah,
That's a big one.
It's
Yeah.
it's a big, but
Right.
it's awesome. It's such a good show.
It's overwhelming, yeah, the costumes alone. But having that opportunity for certain kids is so important because it's really their only chance to do something like that. Or, like lately, we've had scope programs that introduced in town some theater classes they could take. And oh my gosh, the popularity is unbelievable. So there's this thing that has to be tapped in this town.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, speaking of that, theater classes. I spoke to you about this whenever you came to
Right.
accept your award. I'm trying to get an acting program going through Garden City New York Media. I have so much experience that it's kind of that maybe a little bit of teacher in me that's
Yes.
like, I should share.
With the
I've been
kids.
doing this
Yeah.
my whole life,
Right,
you know, and
right.
I've done it professionally and I've directed. And so I've been hearing from multiple people, including you, that there's kind of a want
There is,
for that
for
in
sure.
the community.
Yeah.
So I have a course that I've done and that I want to offer. So what kind of things do you think that people, if you've spoken to parents or have spoken to anyone, what kind of things do you think that people are wanting or needing from something like that?
I don't know. I think, like, for example, over the summer, I went to see the Scope program where they, just because my daughter was working in the program, and she said, come and see. Some of my former students were in it. So we went and saw their little show, which was, all of 10 minutes long because it's
Yeah.
just a summer class.
Yeah.
But the smiles on their faces were incredible. Some of them were dancing and singing. I think they were doing things from Frozen or some popular show. It wasn't Frozen. It was Encanto.
Oh,
And they
that's
were
such a good one.
they were so, the smiles were incredible. They loved it. They were acting it out. They were singing and they were dancing. And that's just a a month summer program
Yeah.
or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
so knowing how many kids wanted to do that's why I know there's such a want out there. I mean, I have some kids in my class this year that are starring in Aladdin, and I don't know if they do anything else outside as far as theater goes, but boy, if you had something right here in town to offer them, and then a show that you could film and show in the the Garden City
Yeah.
media, it would definitely be a hit. So I think
Yeah.
you should think about definitely reaching out
Definitely.
in that way.
One of my goals is to dive a little bit deeper into like scene work a little bit with them, because
Well, I was
think-
just going to say that, because one opportunity the kids have in Garden City is to join the stage crew, which is hard because there aren't that many positions, but a lot of kids want to do it.
Sure.
So kids get on stage crew, but then when they get to 6th grade, those kids that were on stage crew for Aladdin are going to go right into it. And then I see a boy at the high school now who I had in 5th grade, who's a senior.
Yeah.
And I know, I don't know for sure because I haven't talked to him about it, but I know he's going to college and he's going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
So that behind the scenes stuff is just as important.
gets them into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it
and there's
happen.
a want for that too.
Well, that's great, because I definitely I feel that here we could teach also about like the film side, like acting
Yes,
for film and acting for
sure.
stage is different.
Right.
And then there's behind the scenes in theater and behind the scenes on a set
Yes,
is different.
very cool.
So I think that would be something to introduce
Yes.
to people, and that would be something I would include in the course as
yeah,
well.
and you're right here. You have
Yeah.
both of these schools so close. It would be such a great
and we have
connection.
everything we need.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think that'd be exciting.
Great, yeah, that's super exciting. I'm glad that you appreciate all of that stuff.
Right.
But of course, you're a great teacher. So
But knowing that kids do have opportunities in this town, so many opportunities for sports, you don't need to build that anymore. It's
Yeah.
as big as it can be, and it's
Yeah.
fabulous, and kids go to college for.
Oh, yeah.
there's
It's important
there's so
too.
much.
They're all
It is,
things.
but it's established. But the other side, the theater side, isn't so established in town. So building that up would only make another portion of the population be involved. you
yeah,
know?
yes,
Yeah.
and build up the community. I mean, the community is already great, but we can always
Yeah,
build it more,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So I had one other thing I wanted to ask you. We were talking about the kids' New Year's resolutions. Do you have any or any goals?
I had
Some
to.
people don't like the word resolution.
Right, goals. My co-teacher and I both did our own goals with the kids.
Oh, great.
Just to show them everything is used as a model. And one of mine is to eat more vegetables.
That's
one of
a
my
really good
it's one of
one.
my goals.
That's a really
And
that
also,
will impact a lot of
yeah,
things.
that will be good for me. And also another one was just to because we were talking about reading with the class. Mine is to read more books outside of my favorite genre. You know, open it up a little bit to things that I don't usually read. I have
That's
to do
really
that more.
smart.
Yeah.
What's your favorite genre?
Mine's just murder mysteries or James Patterson,
That might
Harlan
be mine.
Coben.
I
Yeah.
love murder
Yeah,
mystery.
give me a good, crime.
Yeah.
And where I don't know who the person is at the end, but that's such a comfort to me, that type of genre, that I'm like, no, I have to read more biographies.
Yeah.
I have to branch out a little.
Expand. Yeah, those are both really
I
good
may
ones.
not, do well at either one, but I'll give it a try.
Effort. It's A for effort.
Right, right.
Well, Leigh, I really appreciate you playing hooky and taking the time to come out here and be on the podcast.
It was fun.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely share it with your friends and your teachers and students and family.
Okay.
This is super exciting. And also, if you know of anyone who would be interested to be on it, you can definitely send it my way
Okay.
and we can set it up. But yeah, thank
That
you.
would be great.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
And thank you again, one more time, for your well-deserved, for your service.
Thank you.
Which you got the well-deserved award.
And
for.
thank you guys for the award. It's so
For
much
sure.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and talking with me and Leigh, talking about school and students in the new year. This episode of GC 360 was sponsored by Alliance Services, and we will see you next Wednesday live at 10 a.m.